80% of chronic health conditions are caused by...
What is the best advice you can give to live longer?
I would say probably the two simplest things to focus on would be...
Hello there, I'm Dr. Legacy Nova, powered by rBeatz.com global multimedia boutique streaming network, where healthcare meets high frequency. We are brought to you by data, driven by purpose. Today Jennifer Busco and I welcome very special guest, Dr. Carter Starr, a Yale-trained ER physician who left the high-pressure world of emergency medicine to found Starr Vitality and Wellness, a practice focused on prevention, education, and holistic healing. Join us on We Talk Raw. Together we can watch how one doctor is rewriting the sound of health and carrying the legacy of medicine to the light of a new era. This is the future of wellness. Welcome to rBeatz.com global multimedia boutique streaming network. Take it away, Jennifer.
Welcome, everybody, to We Talk Raw. I'm your host today, Jennifer Busco, and I'm so excited to introduce Dr. Carter Starr. So today we have Dr. Carter Starr. She is a Yale University graduate and has over 20 years experience as an ER physician and is also trained in sports and lifestyle medicine. So we're going to talk about where you were and where you're going. Welcome to the show, Dr. Carter Starr. How are you today?
I'm great, thanks. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, I'm so excited to talk with you about the wave of the future of health and healing. So let's talk about where you were. So you were an ER doctor for 20 years.
Yes.
So tell us about what drew you to that work.
Well, it's interesting. I've known since I was 3 that I was going to be a physician. So medicine truly is my calling. There was never anything else that I considered.
How did you know? Tell us.
I'm not really sure. I mean, I just feel like it was truly my calling. I had a little Fisher-Price doctor kit when I was 3 years old, and I went to a preschool where one day the girls were supposed to make construction paper nurses' hats, and the boys were supposed to make the old-fashioned doctor's hat where it's the band with the mirror. And I told the teacher I wanted to make a doctor's hat, and she said, well, girls become nurses. And I said, I don't want to make a nurse's hat. I want to make a doctor's hat. And was just very adamant about it. But then when it came to actually choosing a specialty, I didn't have anything in mind. And I chose emergency medicine by default because I liked options of all of the specialties. I liked all ages. I liked being hands-on, getting results quickly, and knowing I was making a difference. But then realized pretty quickly after finishing my training that I had chosen very poorly for my personality.
Like the fast pace or the high stress?
A bunch of things. I mean, I value sleep. I've always scheduled my life around 8 hours sleep, exercise, healthy food. I value relationships with people. And
why is it that doctors are overworked? Is there just not enough, or is it just part of the career? Like, isn't there enough doctors where you can just do an 8-hour shift? Is that a dumb question?
I think medicine has been turned into a business, and I've seen it dramatically change in the time that I've been practicing.
It's about the money.
Yes.
So if you work longer, somehow you're saving the hospital money.
No, they want you to see patients more quickly, is the thing.
Oh.
And so I didn't like feeling rushed. I don't like being interrupted. I'm a perfectionist. And constant interruptions and chaos in the ER. Like, you never know when cardiac arrest is going to come in.
Right.
And so it's a very high stress environment because you have to be ready to go at any moment, just like if you were in the military.
I know I wasn't in either of those, but from bartending in a very, very busy hotel, when it is like so busy and you're in the weeds, I can imagine it's kind of like that, but life and death, where
Yes.
It's like just everything's coming at you. It's almost like a bad dream. Like everything's coming at you at once and you're just like out of breath. There's no time to pee.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That is like my memories of being like a high intensity bartender.
Yeah. There've been times when I had a bite of a peanut butter and jelly sandwich in the bathroom because I didn't have time to eat.
And I worked in a hotel bar and they never closed. So it's like you're working on Christmas, New Year's Eve. I remember coming home when the kitchen was serving breakfast, 5 a.m., like long shifts. So I know it's nothing compared to what you went through, but I sort of can imagine that stress. that high energy.
Yes. So it's just go, go, go all the time. And then when you have a few days off, it's really hard to quiet down that stress energy.
Or do you want to just like do absolutely nothing on those days off because you're so tired?
That happens too, but life needs tending to. But I found it was having a really dramatic impact on my personality. I was short-tempered and getting irritated with people easily just because you have to fight to be an advocate for your patients a lot of the time. And so
but then you're still an employee of a business.
Yes.
Right.
So people talk about fight or flight, and I just felt in the ER like I was constantly in fight mode, to get my patients the care that they need.
Do you feel like you have like some traumas from seeing things and being a part of things?
Absolutely.
And your own like emotional traumas?
No, I absolutely have some PTSD from my time in the ER, and I know that word is used a lot, but I've had 2 recurring nightmares that are stress dreams related to working.
Did you work during COVID?
I sat out COVID for 15 months just because I had Hodgkin's lymphoma diagnosed when I was 31, and developing cancer was arguably a result of the stress of residency because in retrospect, I had cancer for half of my residency and just didn't know.
Wow.
So I had some lung damage from chemo, and when COVID first came out, the only treatment was high flow oxygen, and I can't be on that or I'd wind up disabled and dead in 5 years.
Wow. I had another medical doctor on as a guest, and he said he had to take like a mental health leave of absence during residency because it was just so hard. Like he started to get really depressed and had to literally take a break.
Oh yeah, and one of my best friends from Yale also went through residency the same time I did at a different hospital, and she had to start on medication because she would get so anxious on rounds. And medical education traditionally tears you down and makes you feel like you don't know anything and then builds you up the way they want you to be. So it was interesting. I was going through residency in part of the time while my brother was deployed in Afghanistan with the Marine Corps. And I think that medicine and the military service are very similar in that way, where they build you down, they tear you down and then build you back up the way they want you to be.
They want to create who they want.
Yes, exactly.
The little Handmaid's Tale-y, isn't it? I've never seen that show, but I think that's what it's about.
Yeah, but it's like, you're expected to know everything, and if you don't, you're made to feel stupid, like very punitive, very competitive work environment.
Well, and I mean, I can't imagine if you already have like self-worth wounds from your childhood, right? Or something of like not being enough or not being worthy, and then you're in that sort of atmosphere. It's got to be traumatizing.
Yeah, well, and it's this pressure cooker because you're with all these other highly intelligent people, and there's competition, and people want to stand out to be the best, and so it's typically not a collaborative environment.
I don't think I would succeed in that. I hate like the whole mean girl energy and the competitive energy. That just doesn't serve me very well.
Yeah, no, well, I don't think it serves very many people at all.
So let's go back just a little bit. So you think the stress caused cancer in the body?
It's one of those things you can't prove.
Right.
But I got diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma, and I was one of the healthiest people I knew. And stress definitely plays into illness.
Did you have any tools? Like, did you meditate or do breath work at that time, or were you?
No, I didn't.
So you just dealt with, you just were stressed out.
Mm-hmm. And not getting enough sleep, eating cafeteria food when you're able to grab something because that's all you have time for.
So at what point did you realize this is just not for me? Or was it something that was ongoing and you just wanted to get out when you could?
Well, it's interesting because I realized pretty quickly into my career as an ER physician that I had chosen my specialty poorly. Like I would say definitely within 2 or 3 years. But then you just feel stuck because I'm a specialist in emergency medicine. And, you just feel like, well, what else could I possibly do with my life? Because this is my training. And I feel like a lot of people don't think outside the box.
And it's a lot of training. You don't want to just throw that away.
Right. And
money.
I'm passionate about helping people. Like I love educating people on
Are you still in debt with your loans?
No. I paid them off at 8.5 years. That was the best financial advice I've ever been given. My father said, I don't want you to have this debt hanging over you and feel like you have to be a physician to pay this off.
Oh, that's amazing. Okay, so you realized 2 or 3 years in, and then you just stayed in the grind and you were miserable.
Well, I felt I felt stuck. Like, well, what else can I do? Because usually when people are tired of their career in emergency medicine, they'll go to urgent care. But to me, that was the worst of all worlds because you still have the rush. Like, I'm here on my lunch hour of 45 minutes. I need to get out of here. It's the so-called stupid stuff that goes to the ER. And
Interesting.
I'm
not so serious.
And I'm not minimizing anyone's concerns,
Right.
but it's things like, I have a cold.
Well, when I got bit by fire ants, I went to urgent care.
Yeah, and it's stuff that can often go to your primary care physician and doesn't necessarily need to be there. It pays a lot less, and it's still typically a 12-hour day. So you're not eating dinner at home. If the urgent care closes at 8 and somebody walks in at 7:59, you're taking care of them.
But I don't understand why you have to work such long shifts. Can't they just put another doctor in?
That would make sense, but
I just don't understand.
But oftentimes you wind up working 12s, and I just don't think the human brain is meant to concentrate on anything for more than about 8 to 10 hours.
Were you ever in a position where you were like, I'm literally going to fall asleep?
Not to that extent.
Or is
but
the adrenaline sort of...
I have definitely had a few more complicated cases towards the end of my shift where when my relief came in, I said, this person is really sick. I just need a fresh set of eyes on them. So that is
like
real.
another angle, yeah.
Like no one is at their best when they've been working for 12 hours.
God, that's crazy. So what is the most critical patient situation that you turned into a life-saving moment? Do you have any memories of that?
Yeah, so this is an interesting one because it was actually outside the hospital. So when I lived in Bloomington, Indiana, I was a volunteer code team physician for the fans for Indiana University football and basketball. So it was great because you got a ticket to the game, you went and watched. They had nurse practitioners taking care of minor stuff. But if somebody was having chest pain or passed out, they would come get the physician. And so there was this man who was mid-50s and saying he was having some chest pain. And so I asked him some questions, and it was going down his left arm. And I looked at him and I said, you need to go to the hospital. Like, I'm concerned that you're having a heart attack and you need to get checked out. And he said, oh, no. He's like, I'm here and I have the car keys. My wife's in the parking lot.
Bro.
And he said, I'm fine. I was like, listen, you sought out medical care. So clearly you don't think you're fine. You need to go. And he just was dismissive, kept saying no. And, unfortunately, in an emergency setting, sometimes you have to bring out some drama to get people's attention.
Do you think he was boozing, having some beers?
He didn't give that impression. And I don't think that facility even sold alcohol at the time. And so I've already said twice, you need to go to the ER. And finally I looked at him and I said, you are no good to your wife if you're dead. You need to go to the hospital. And he wound up going, and he had a 100% blockage in
the chills. Oh my gosh.
One of his coronary arteries that's known as the widowmaker, because that provides the main blood supply to the heart. So if he had gone home, he probably would have died.
Wow.
And it's interesting because it's taken me quite a while away from the ER to realize that I don't have to bring that drama to make my point to people. It's just like, just have a conversation. You don't need to draw out the big guns. But in the emergency setting, there are times when you have to do whatever it takes to get someone's attention.
Wow. So when you do stuff like that, like in the ER and you're saving lives, do you get for lack of a better term, a high? Like, oh my gosh, I did that.
No,
because you have
to go on to the next person. I will say that one thing that I learned much later in life, and I wish I had known about myself in my 20s when I was making my career selection, is that I'm very much an empath. So I absorb everyone's energy, and that makes it a particularly stressful career because I'm part of somebody's worst day. So I have to go in and tell you that your mother died. And
feel what she's feeling.
Feel what you're feeling and watch you just fall apart. And then I have to leave and go to the next person who's complaining that they've been waiting 3 hours to be seen, and just compartmentalize that. So you never really get a chance to process it. And it's really a heavy burden to carry.
I'm sure that could be exhausting, taking on other people's emotions. So do you
Absolutely.
have energetic hygiene tools? Do you know how to clear your energy or anything like that?
None of that is taught
Oh, right. I'm
at
sure it's
all
not taught, yes.
in any of med
I can
school
teach
or
it.
training. I have just sought things out on my own. I use breath work. Box breathing
Yeah,
is
that's a
actually
great
used
one.
by U.S. Special Forces, and that really helps calm you down. Recognizing when you're feeling anxious and just self-affirmations like you're safe, there's nothing threatening around you. Take a few slow, deep breaths, you're okay. And I've developed that skill set to be able to deal with anxiety, with stressful situations. But I really think that that's something that should be taught.
Agree, 100%. So you did that, and then you decided to leave. So let's talk about how you left and where you're going.
Absolutely. It's a roundabout path. And the longer I live, the more I believe that everything happens in your life for a reason, and that each stepping stone, even if it was a terrible experience, puts you exactly where you need to be.
Amen, sister.
So I applied for a non-operative sports medicine fellowship, and nobody does that 17 years out of residency training. If you're going to do a fellowship, you do residency fellowship. So fellowship is subspecialty training. I matched at University of New Mexico. The pandemic hit. I was given the option of deferring. And, as an ER doc, my training is worst case scenario. So it'd only been a couple of months of the pandemic, but it's like, okay, this is going to be bad, and this is going to last a long time. And so I opted to defer, went back, did the sports fellowship, and then came back to Charlotte, and COVID killed funding for new hires like that because the hospitals lost so much money from elective surgeries. So I was back to travel ER work. So I traveled for 10 of my years in emergency medicine. I was sort of the temp of the ER doctor world.
So just going from different hospitals around the country. That's cool.
So I've worked at probably 40 hospitals. I've seen a really wide variety of
I bet
ways
that's great
to do
for
things.
just experience, life experience.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, I would fly to Missouri, Alabama, Indiana.
How long would you stay for?
Sometimes as little as one shift. Usually I'd work 5 shifts in a row. So work 5 days and come home and do that a couple times a month.
Wow.
So it's very different than travel nursing where they're there for 13 weeks. So back to the travel ER work, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is why I did the sports training, was to get away from this because this is not healthy for me. And last year I had a thyroid cancer scare. It looked like I had a marble sitting in the middle of my throat. The first doctor told me, you have thyroid cancer. I had to wait 3.5 weeks to see the physician who does biopsies. And thankfully, it wound up just being thyroiditis, but it was directly patient care related. I had caught influenza from a patient and her husband.
Wow.
And for whatever reason, it made the center of my thyroid swell up.
So influenza like the flu, or is that like more
the flu.
intense? Okay.
Yeah, and I just say influenza because people.
I know, I'm like, it sounds fancy.
People use flu generically,
I know,
like
it's like-
stomach flu.
Exactly.
So this was true influenza.
I love that I asked that. I'm sure the watcher, the viewers are like, oh yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But I did contract work with the travel work, and I had just had a contract end where I was flying to Indiana and had this cancer scare. And I've already been through surgery and 6 months of chemo for Hodgkin's, and that has a huge impact on a person, especially when it's at a young age. And so it's like, I hear you, God. It's time to make a change.
So that was like a little.
Well, I had wanted to make a change for a long time, but, change is scary.
It's so scary.
And people like the security of doing what they know and having a guaranteed income and all of that.
Even our gym, we go to the same gym. When they change up the workout, I'm like, no, I just want the regular workout.
Right,
I don't like change.
Even
don't get creative.
I know. Even good changes are scary sometimes up front. And so I did some serious soul searching, and there were times I said, I hate medicine. And it's funny, I saw this picture on Facebook 2 or 3 times, and it's just a generic 16-ounce water bottle. And it said, this is 30 cents at Costco, 50 cents at the grocery store, $2 at a gas station, and $5 at the airport. The only thing that has changed is its location. If you don't feel valued where you are, change your location.
Oh, I love that.
So that's so simple, but it really got my attention. And I said, you know what? I don't hate medicine. Like, I love medicine. I love educating people and
you knew all your life, right?
and helping them be healthier. And, one of my taglines for my practice is, you shouldn't have to be a physician to be able to make educated decisions on what is best for you in your life. So let me educate you. You make the decision, and then I support you in that decision.
That's great.
So I did some soul searching, like, what can I do? I'm just an ER doc. And, thankfully I have a really supportive friend out in California who's a physician assistant. And she's like, just an ER doc? You kidding me? Like, you went to Yale, you have all this experience, like, you can do anything. Because, it's easier to see that in others sometimes than in yourself. And I decided, you know what? Several people have said over the years, you should open your own practice. And I felt like that wasn't even an option because I'm not primary care trained. And I thought, why don't I do that? And I wrote a cover letter for a concierge medicine job posting on Indeed. And I said, you know what, let me break all the rules. And I'm just going to call out the elephant in the room. You're probably looking for an internist. Why should you consider hiring me? I'm an ER doc with sports training. And I wrote the letter, and I read through the letter, and I was like, I sound pretty great, because you tend to focus on the negatives in yourself. I think a lot of people do. And so when I was trying to sell myself for this job, I thought, you know what? I would hire me if I read this.
Maybe I should.
And I said, why don't I hire me? Because then I get to do exactly what I want. And I realized it wasn't just the time pressure in the ER that I disliked, that, you're taking too long talking to your patients and explaining things so they can understand them. It's just, I really don't like being told what to do if it's not explained to me what the rationale is behind it. And I'm not questioning a person's authority. I just want to understand where they're coming from. And that's typically not well received. It's they'll do it because I told you to.
Right.
And then I'm a firm believer in good quality supplements. I've used supplements for 20 years. And in most of the hospital systems, physicians are not allowed to recommend supplements. So I thought, okay, I'm going to open my own wellness practice, and I'm going to be independent, so that way I can do what I want to do.
So tell us, like I said when we opened, this is sort of the new wave, I think, of the future of healing and preventative healing in medicine. So tell us, why you're doing what you're doing. So is it considered holistic, integrative? Are you trying to do preventative?
Absolutely. So I focus on proactive wellness with people primarily. And so I chose to call my clinic a lifestyle medicine clinic. And lifestyle medicine is a relatively new concept in terms of having that label. But I really view it as good old-fashioned medicine because 80% of chronic health conditions are caused by the choices you make, by your lifestyle choices. And when you hear that number, that's huge. So lifestyle choices contribute to high blood pressure, high cholesterol, heart disease.
Give us some examples, like environment, stress, what?
Absolutely. Well, the 6 pillars of lifestyle medicine are focusing on a whole food, plant-focused diet. So I'm not saying you need to be vegetarian, but you want to shop the periphery of the grocery store, so things that are not processed and don't have preservatives in them, and make meat, if you're someone who eats everything like I do, more like a side dish portion as opposed to the main course. Physical activity, and that doesn't have to be stereotypical exercise. Get out and go for a walk.
Park further away at Harris
Exactly.
Teeter. I'm like, go to park over here and get some steps in.
It's great having smart watches where you can track your steps.
Yeah.
But I try to make a goal of walking 4.4 miles every day, and I personally am very active, so that doesn't count as
that
my
can get
exercise.
obsessive, though. Sometimes I get a little bit obsessive with, I'm like, oh my God, I need to walk around the family, or I'm going to get 1,000 more steps.
I know, I'm like
to
that
make
too.
it 15,000.
Like as before bed in my head, I haven't gotten my confetti of the watch saying you reached your goal. Restorative sleep is really important, and that's that's something a lot of Americans just let slide. Adults need 7 to 9 hours sleep.
I think we've talked about this. I've been recently prescribed trazodone, which has saved my life. Just taking a sleep aid, it's doesn't feel like I've tried Ambien, and that just kind of like messes me up. But trazodone is light, and I tell you, I am like a baby. If I don't get sleep, I will cry.
Yeah.
And I feel so refreshed when I wake up and I have like a full 8 hours of sleep.
Well,
Sometimes you need a little help, you know?
It just makes people so much more resilient. You know, you get cut off in traffic or someone says something rude. If you're well rested, you're just going to let it roll off
like
your
my
back.
body gets achy when I'm tired. You know, I am like very sensitive to not having a lot of sleep.
That's super important. Stress management, a lot of times that's not discussed by employers, and there's so many things you can do. Like I mentioned, the breath work, you know, going out, taking a quick walk around the block, you know, listening to some happy music, even if it's just one song, listening with an earbud in your ear. Positive social connections are super important.
That's huge.
They also help stave off dementia, which I think is underappreciated.
Just because your brain's like firing when you're connecting with people, or
and feeling supported. You know, you want that support. And then the sixth pillar is avoiding or minimizing risky substances. So, you know, smoking, drugs, alcohol. And that's something I just, you know, educate people on and meet you where you are. And I'm not saying, you know,
I had wine night last night. Right? Wine Wednesdays was last night for me. So
I view my role with that is, I'll go through, specific intake form with that, like a little questionnaire, but like I'll ask you, like, do you think you're drinking too much? And some people don't, and I'll just educate them on that. But, if you say, probably, I was like, well, would you like some help cutting back? But I think the 80-20 rule in life is super important, because you could tell me if I ate a super, super strict vegetarian diet, I would live 5 years longer. And I would say it's not worth it to me. Like, I want to have a cocktail to celebrate your birthday or a piece of cake. It's just make 80% healthy choices and then 20% enjoy your life.
I mean, I drink a Diet Pepsi a day. I know, judge me, everyone. But I do. And I just say, okay, if I'm diet 103 instead of 100, I think I'm really okay. I want to enjoy my Diet Pepsi. Like, the sound of cracking open a can of Diet Pepsi raises my energy. You know what I mean? It does. It brings me joy. So I'm going to do that and let the chemicals just be in my body, transform them into love with my intention.
There you go. But I mean, you should be able to enjoy it. I mean, if you were drinking a 12-pack a day, that's a different story, and we would have a chat about that. But one, and it's something you really enjoy, like, that's okay.
So what is the best advice you can give to live longer?
I would say probably the two simplest things to focus on would be hydration and making sure you're getting adequate restorative sleep.
Let's talk about hydration. What is it, half your weight? I've seen your Instagram post.
Yeah, so, the standard that everyone's talked about for years is 8-ounce glasses a day, so 64 ounces. That's a completely generic recommendation. A number of years ago in the ER, I started noticing all the people who came in as patients with problems that could have been prevented if they had adequate water intake.
Give us an example.
Yeah, so I started asking, like, how much water do you drink a day? And then the answer I got was not enough. So then I changed the question to, how many ounces of water do you drink a day? Excellent, have a sip of water. It's crazy because, like, I would say a lot of people don't even hit the 64 ounces. Kidney stones are huge. They're a huge reason for going to the ER because they are agonizing. They say they're like the men's equivalent of childbirth.
Wow.
Except, of course, women can get kidney stones too.
I've heard that. Are there any maybe symptoms that we wouldn't know of dehydration? Like, obviously, like when you're thirsty, like your mouth feels dry, like I'm thirsty. But are there any physical symptoms that maybe somebody wouldn't know?
Headache.
That they're dehydrated?
Headache is a big one. A lot of headaches come from dehydration. And when you're thirsty, you're actually already a little
past
bit
it, right?
dehydrated.
I've heard that.
Yeah.
Do you think sometimes people overdrink water, though? Like when you see those cute little girls with the big Stanleys and they're doing like 4 or 5 of those a day, like what happens to your body then?
You can develop hyponatremia, which is just the medical term for your sodium being too low. And there was actually a radio contest about 10 years ago. There was a water challenge, and someone died because she drank so much water that she messed up all of her electrolytes and her brain herniated.
Well, there was that story of some girl that went for a run on vacation and drank a gallon of water. It was like a year ago or a couple years ago on CNN, and she died.
Yes.
Well, speaking of death, we're going to talk about happier things right after a word from our sponsor.
We're We're very honored to be here today and to form a partnership with Michael and bringing an American Hockey League team to Charlotte. We really feel that this is a huge step forward to the growth of hockey in North Carolina and in the South.
Scores! A deflection in front, and the Checkers win the series!
This is my new home.
They score again! Sarla! It's the hat trick! And Elkovich for the empty net! He scores! The longest game in American Hockey League history, and we are in the midst of it. Rebound chance! St. Patrick! They're going to the Calder Cup Finals! The Charlotte Checkers are Calder Cup champions! They are the kings of the American Hockey League, and there's no one left to beat. Lawrence can win the game. Fake shoots!
It's been 590 days since the last hockey game in Charlotte, and the Checkers will don a new affiliate on their sweaters and a familiar face as their new captain.
Dangling, shot, he scores! Checkers with it, rebound, Carlson buries it, we're back tomorrow night! On the right wing board, Samaskevich finds some ice shot, he scores! And the Checkers have their first lead of the Queen City Outdoor Classic. Number 124 for number 21, the new franchise record!
Thanks for tuning in. Dr. Carter Starr, what can you advise the viewer watching right now to do to improve the quality of their life that is free?
I would say make a conscious effort to move every day. And it doesn't have to be anything strenuous, but a lot of the aches and pains that people associate with aging are from lack of movement. We spend most of our day bent forward. And so even
on our phones, like
exactly on your phone, on your computer, sort of in almost like a balled up position with your shoulders forward, and even something as simple as putting your hands behind your head and pushing your elbows back will stretch the whole front of your body and open you up. Go for a quick walk. People said during the pandemic, I gained a bunch of weight because the gyms were closed. I was in some of the best shape of my life just working out at home.
That was all I did because I had nothing to do. I'm working out was my job.
You don't.
I did 5 miles a day.
You don't need a gym. You don't even need weights. You can do body weight, and if you can't do a push-up, you can do a countertop push-up. Put your hands on the countertop and you slowly move your feet back as you get stronger.
And nowadays, YouTube, right? Or these apps like Gaia, you can download yoga classes and do them in the comforts of your own home. I think if you have that motivation though, right?
Well, there's so many things that are free. Like you can just go on YouTube and pull up a deep stretch yoga class. If you don't know how to do yoga, it's super slow.
So after or before one does this movement, how much water do they drink? Should they drink?
So the athletic literature recommends 1/2 ounce per pound of body weight. So if someone's 150 pounds, that would be 75 ounces of water. And then if you're sweating a lot, you want a little bit more. And because we live in the South, I would also advocate for a dose of electrolytes if you're outside for over an hour or so and you're sweating.
I'm sort of obsessed with electrolytes. Is that okay to do like one scoop a day? Like I think I drink like one like little single serving a day. And you see how much I sweat.
That's completely fine. Like the people who are obsessed with it are drinking multiple Gatorades, and that's a ton of sugar, and it can actually cause diarrhea. So something as simple as an electrolyte beverage, if used to excess, can cause problems.
So just like one a day is good.
Exactly. No,
especially teaching hot yoga, you know how much I sweat. I'm a fan of the electrolytes.
But the easy thing to look for is your urine should be light yellow to clear. So if you have really bright urine, you're dehydrated.
Right. Okay, that makes sense.
And I carry water with me everywhere because it's really easy to go out and run errands, and you know, you're like, oh my gosh, I wound up being away from the house for 3 hours and I'm dying of thirst.
So I'm not a doctor, but that's my advice is I get my hydration while I'm driving, right? So if I'm driving to our gym, that's how I know you. It's, you know, takes me 17 minutes to get there. I'm just like sipping my water and then driving to Harris Teeter, sipping my water and driving home. So I feel like I get a lot of my hydration in the car. And I think that's a really great tip.
Yeah, that's great. And what I do is I have a stainless steel Tervis tumbler that I use.
So how many ounces is that? Like 20?
This is 32 ounces.
Oh, okay.
And I drink usually 3 to 4 of these a day. So I actually drink a little bit more than a recommendation because I'm very active and I'm prone to headaches just genetically. But I tell people, get a cup that makes you happy. Blue and pink are my favorite colors. My office is blue and pink.
Mine says I'm a Swiftie, so that
perfect,
makes me happy.
Yeah, it's whatever you like. But I chose stainless steel specifically because it doesn't matter if the water gets hot in the car. It's not going to leach plastic into your water and be potentially carcinogenic. So this is great.
So let's shift a little bit and tell us, who is your ideal patient with your new practice?
So the short answer is I really can help anyone. The longer answer is who's most likely to be attracted to my practice would be probably more likely to be women, age 35 to 70, just because women are generally more proactive about their health. Men tend in general to wait till there's a problem. And I've said for a long time, like that's why men need wives, like to make them go to the doctor when they need
My
to.
boyfriend does not even have health insurance, so yes, I get it. I'm like, honey, go to the doctor.
Yeah, and I would say like no one plans on having an emergency. Right? And sometimes things happen. Like I was the healthiest person I knew and I got cancer. Like sometimes you just have to deal with the cards you're dealt.
Well, in my field, which is not your field, but in my world, a lot of unhealthy or stored and stuck emotions and traumas cause physical ailments.
Oh, absolutely. But I want to help people be healthier and more active. I meet you where you are. So it's customized care. So it's whatever you want help with. Like if you need help cleaning up your diet a little bit, I'll make small sustainable changes over time because this is a lifestyle adjustment. So it's not a diet because I don't want you to feel deprived because that's when people fail because they feel deprived and then they say, forget it, I'm not doing this.
So the 49-year-old in me wants to ask you, do you deal with hormones?
I deal with
menopause and perimenopause.
I deal with them indirectly. I think a lot of doctors are still not well educated on perimenopause.
Because you didn't get that in training, correct?
No, and
which is wild.
Even most OBGYN residents are not educated on that. So,
that is wild.
So perimenopause can actually be 15 years leading up to your final period. And of course, like, you have no idea when that final period is going to be.
Right, so if you have, sorry, this is kind of gross. If you have your period, that doesn't mean you're not in perimenopause.
Correct. Oh yeah, no, absolutely. But so sleep is one of the biggest things.
Insomnia.
I've had trouble sleeping since I was.
Trazodone. That's why I love my trazodone.
Yeah, so I've had trouble sleeping since I was 35. So I would say my role in helping women with perimenopause symptoms is looking at lifestyle modification and some supplements. And then, you know, if that is not doing the job for you, then we can get you where you need to go for hormones. And that's something I'll look into studying next year, but don't currently
Got it.
But, you know, I want to help the weekend warriors, people who maybe have gotten out of shape because they were focusing on their children and now have some time for themselves. You know, I want to help you stay looking and feeling your best now and 30 years from now and minimize medication. So that'll decrease your long-term healthcare costs.
So it's really just a broad spectrum of just health with whatever the situation is or the problem is with the patient.
Absolutely. And there are also several decades of women who were not diagnosed with ADHD just because women aren't physically hyperactive. And so I got diagnosed with ADHD 2.5 years ago. And what made me seek out care and the diagnosis for that is I was having increasing anxiety. And there were multiple times I'm like, why am I feeling anxious? Like this isn't even tied to anything. And it turned out that it was because I had undiagnosed, untreated ADHD, and so my mind was always racing. And if you're thinking about, half a dozen things at once, of course you're going to be anxious.
Wow.
So, I can help people figure out if maybe that's an underlying cause of anxiety and how to manage that from a lifestyle perspective.
That's amazing. And we will have your link in the show notes for anybody watching. Wink, wink. Do you do remote or is it all in person?
Absolutely. No. So I have a physical office in Cotswold. It's right by the Publix there off Randolph Road.
Yep, in Charlotte, North Carolina.
And I want it to feel like a little oasis. So my office is blue and pink and it's like being in my living room. I love bright colors. But I also am licensed in South Carolina, which is unusual to have a physician with both licenses. So I can help you if you're on vacation at the beach or live in South Carolina, if you're in the mountains. And I'm a master diagnostician, so I can also help you stay out of the ER if you don't actually need that level of care. Like there are a lot of things that can be handled over the phone.
So let's talk about that term concierge. So do you do like house calls? Because there was that show, Royal Pains. He was a concierge doctor. Have you seen it? Where he does house calls. Like he literally has like his little briefcase and he was a concierge physician.
Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to that. But the word concierge just means membership model, which a lot of people don't realize.
Okay.
So, ideally, I would love for people to be members of my practice so that they can have regular interaction with me. And, they have unlimited access to me through HIPAA-compliant email and text. And
that's great. And then you know them and their situation and their story. They're not walking into an ER with a stranger, right?
Absolutely. But, I recognize not everyone's going to want a membership. So I also have a 3-month introductory period that you can do. And then with the changing healthcare scene right now that we're going through, I'm concerned that there are probably going to be a lot of people without health insurance.
Oh, right.
And so I'm going to offer a mini package where you can come in and see me and we can get some labs, have a follow-up, and so just do a check on how you're doing health-wise, and you don't feel limited by the fact that you don't have insurance.
Wow, that's great. So we're approaching the holiday season. It's the holiday season. Do you have any advice for people on how they can sort of get through it and feel okay come January 2nd?
Absolutely, yes. So you hear so many people say like, oh my gosh, I gained 5 or 10 pounds over the holidays and I feel like a slug and just feel awful. And I would say, you need to go in with a plan because failure to plan is planning to fail. It's my view of things. And it's easy. I want you to be able to enjoy your life, the 80-20 rule I mentioned before. But for example, most holiday parties are during dinner time, they're early evening. So you're probably showing up hungry and they have a lot of high calorie, dense foods, cheese, nuts, desserts, alcohol, and
my kind of party.
1 ounce of nuts is 180 calories, and that's
is that just like a little teeny?
That fits in the palm of my hand.
Ooh.
So if you're a guy, that's going to be even less than the palm of your hand. So it's really easy if you're hungry to just shovel
like the trail mix in
700 or 800 calories of
gosh.
nuts, and then cheese, and then you have some alcohol, and then depending on how much alcohol, that can lead to bad decisions. Mm-hmm. And, if it's just 1 or 2 meals, like, a Thanksgiving meal or, a Christmas meal or other holiday meal, then that's no big deal. Mm-hmm. But, there's so many get-togethers and parties, whether it's, the office, the gym, the neighborhood. So those all add up. So I would say have some protein at home before you go. And this doesn't need to be complicated. You can grab a rotisserie chicken that's already cooked and have some of that, can of tuna fish. If you're vegetarian, cook up some beans or some vegetables so that you're not showing up starving. And then if it's snack type food, just be mindful when you're eating, like pay attention to it because it's really easy to just eat and not even have it register. Mm-hmm. And then if it's a dinner, particularly a potluck, there are a couple ways you can handle that. So you can, walk the table, look at everything, and pick out your favorites. and make a normal dinner plate. Or if it's something like, oh, there's a lot of different stuff here that I wouldn't normally have, then have a bite or two of everything. But it's when you have a heaping spoonful of everything and have a couple of plates of that, then you're going to wind up feeling horrible. And then the biggest thing, just because I'm a huge advocate of exercise, I'm a lifelong athlete. I was on the varsity crew team at Yale. I'm a second-degree black belt in Taekwondo. Play tennis, kickbox with you, lift weights, is you need to continue exercising because it only takes 2 weeks to start losing your conditioning. And so, think about the gains you've made all year in the gym, and then if you take November and December off, you're going to feel horrible and basically starting from scratch in January.
So do you mean like muscle mass, or what do you mean? Or cardiovascularly, or all that just goes?
Yeah, all of that. All of that. And again, like, I'm realistic. Like, people have family in from out of town and changes in schedule. So it could be something as simple as, I'm going to take 10, 15 minutes and go for a walk around the block. I'm going to do a few push-ups and sit-ups before bed. I'm going to do some countertop push-ups while I'm in the kitchen waiting to take something out of the oven. But you need to move.
Quick question. If you speed walk, like I do that northern speed walk versus running, how much less of a workout is it?
I would say the biggest difference is just your heart rate.
Cardio.
So you're going to have a lower heart rate with speed walking, but the overall benefits of walking are typically viewed as just as good as running, and it's going to be less wear and tear on your joints. And so the American College of Sports Medicine recommends 150 minutes a week of moderate intensity exercise.
So 7 divided by 150. Carry the 2. I don't know. Yeah. Was it 30 minutes a day?
So like if you go to 3 classes at the gym, you've hit.
Got it.
You've hit that. And then if you're doing higher intensity workouts, then it's 75 minutes. And so that if you break it up 30 minutes 5 days a week isn't a lot.
Right.
But walking is huge. Especially for elderly folks. I think that's a great thing to do.
I think also for your mindset, for me, going out in nature, right? So not only am I outside walking, I mean, you can use a treadmill, but going outside also just, clears my mind, raises my vibe. I get a lot of intuitive awarenesses, my mind is starting to get clear and I'm waking up and,
Absolutely. And I think one thing that's worth touching on with the holidays is stress management. Perhaps you have somebody like
family,
like your mother-in-law who's not your biggest fan and knows how to hit the wrong nerve, or whoever it is who's tough to be around for a long time. Take a couple minutes for yourself. You can do that box breathing where it's a 4-second inhale, hold for 4 seconds, 4-second exhale, hold for 4 seconds. Even if you need to step into the restroom for a minute or two, they don't need to know you're only in there breathing. And clear your head. Like you said, go outside for even 5 minutes of some daylight and fresh air. You change your physical space and you change your mental space.
The sun can be healing too.
Let go of the annoyance and you're like, okay, reset. I'm fine. I can deal with this now. Like I said, listen to some happy music. Play it in the background. Throw in an earbud if you're doing something and people are talking, and those things can all really lift your mood. And again, getting adequate sleep, plan ahead. Holidays all have the same things going on year to year typically.
Especially if you're traveling, sometimes it's hard to sleep when you're not in your own bedroom or, that kind of stuff too.
Yeah, but again, adequate sleep just makes you so much more resilient in dealing with life's curveballs.
Yeah, I'm like a baby. If I don't have food or sleep, I cry. Yeah. I need both of those things
and
first.
No one wants that. That's not your best look, right?
Yeah, it's not my best look.
Yeah, we love your beautiful smile.
So how can people find you if they're interested in what you're doing here?
Yeah, so my website is starrvitalitywellness.com. There are 2 R's in Starr. I'm also on Instagram, and again, that's Starr Vitality and Wellness all together. I'm on Facebook. If you don't use Instagram, I'm on LinkedIn under my name, and my practice name is on there as well. And I offer a 30-minute complimentary video chat.
I was going to ask that. So if somebody's just curious, they can just
absolutely. Yeah, no, I want happy patients. So I want you to know what I do and don't offer and make sure that it's a good fit for you.
Wow. Well, that's amazing. Well, thank you for what you're doing. And I think that you're serving the collective by doing something that brings you more joy. And leaving something that was so stressful. So that's very appreciated.
I truly love helping people be healthier. I want to help you be your best version of you.
Love it. Well, if you want to be healthier and the best version of you, check out Dr. Carter Starr. Thank you so much for coming. You're amazing.
Oh, my pleasure.
Thanks
Thank
for
you
watching,
having me.
everybody.